Hello, and today I'd like to go through a few things as to what we could do to start getting into gold making in Classic, the kind of things that we might want to look into, what we would do in the early days and whilst we're leveling through, how we can use TSM and the other auctioning add-ons and set things up, what sort of things we might want to look at in the market, and just kind of explore different ideas and how we might make use of the add-ons to make some gold and try and get ourselves into a reasonable position. So currently at the moment I'm level 11 and I have on me at the moment 91 silver. I've got a little bit more in the mailbox coming because I've been doing some sniper scans and managing to get a few things that were below vendor price. So I'm going to start off by picking those up and then I'll show you how I set that all up. So I have a few things here that were all bought earlier today and these are all below vendor price. I'm going to go straight on and vendor these. So there we go, that's everything vendored and we are now at a very reasonable 2 gold 78. Now when I started this I had about 1 gold 30, so I've practically doubled my gold just by doing this for a couple of hours whilst I was doing something else on the computer. So it was really nice to just be able to have it on the side screen, and whenever something popped up on the sniper scan I was able to pick something up. So this is one of the first very good methods you could do to get a little bit more starting gold. And before I say that, I would recommend the biggest and probably easiest way to get gold early on is to concentrate on leveling. Now I know I haven't done that here, I'm spending too much time just playing around in the auction house, but that's what I find to be fun. I'm going to look forward to leveling as well, but if you do want gold and we're thinking about what we can get for that first 100 goldish that we're going to need for the mount and everything else at 40. So that's kind of like the original target. The main thing really is leveling up is by far probably the best and most powerful thing you could do, certainly for your main character, in order to maximise your gold making potential in the future. But it's also worth looking into opportunities as to other things you can do to make gold currently in the game. As Classic's only just been released, the market's still pretty volatile and we don't have the full set of tools yet, as TSM and the other add-ons are still being tweaked and developed. So the first thing I was able to do there was running a buyout sniper in order to increase my gold potential. So I've set this up very simply. So we go into my groups here. I have 0 groups, nothing set up yet, but I do have the default groups. So you go into the operations and into my sniper operation, the default operation. Now I've set this to be vendor sell -2 copper. So what the sniper operation will do there, it would look at everything that's just come onto the auction house and anything new that comes on, if it's below vendor sell price, and then take 2 copper offs, which is our minimum amount of profit that we want, then it will show up in the sniper scan. Now you can change that value, you can make it 1 copper. Obviously anything less than that, if you just did vendor sell, then if you bought it and you sold it to the vendor, you wouldn't make any profit, you're just literally getting your money back. So it has to be -2 copper or some larger value. So if it was say 5 copper or 1 silver, then obviously less things will appear in your sniper scan, but your margins will be better if you can get a good snipe from that. This is the sort of thing you do as a side thing on a second screen or something like that, or on a second account in the background whilst you're doing something else on the main computer. So with this being the default operation, and with me having no groups at the moment, basically this operation will apply to everything in the game. So what you do is go into DSM here, and you simply run buyout sniper, and then you'll see this down in the bottom here. It will be running the sniper scan. Now it won't include any auctions that are currently on the market, so for that you'd need to do a shopping scan. For this to work, you're waiting for someone to post something on whilst you're running the scan, and if you're lucky and no one else is running a sniper scan and you can catch something below vendor price, it will show up on here, and then you can quickly buy it and then keep on doing that until you either run out of gold or you've had enough, and then you go and vendor all that stuff. So I'll wait here a little bit, see if anything appears. We're obviously in prime time on a Friday night, so there may be some posts if we're lucky, but other people may just be playing the game. Okay, so nothing just yet, so I'm going to actually just change this, and I'm going to change the operation to be -1 copper, just in case I might be missing those just underneath vendor sell -1 copper. And I'll run a sniper scan on that. There we go, spider equal. I don't really look I just go quickly, buy out, and it's gone again. So if I look at that, I just bought that for 13 copper on average, got 3 of those, and the vendor sell price is 16 copper. So that's a profit. I can literally buy that and then turn it around and sell it to the vendor. But obviously you don't really want to spend your time just sitting here waiting for this to happen, because you could be spending that time going out and leveling and things like that. So there's definitely a background process. You can go into your settings. Also, if you go here into your shopping sniper and you change your found auction sound to something like the till sound is usually a good one, the cash register, this one, and then run it again. So long as you've got background noise turned on in your settings, there you go, you get a sound. Quickly buy that, and then we'll sell that on again. So that was Formula Enchant Gloves Fishing. We bought that for 7 silver 49, and the vendor sell price is 7 silver 50. So we make 1 copper on that. So this isn't a massive amount of gold. Sometimes you can get lucky and something will be like for a few silver or something like that. The more gold you have, the more you can capitalize on this technique. Now the other option is, rather than run a buyout sniper, is you could be running the bid sniper, which we looking at the other end of the market, looking at any auctions that are just about to expire, and if they are below vendor price on the bid of that item, then there is a chance that you can put a bid in for that and catch it just before it expires. Now the difficulty with bids is other people can bid on it before it expires, so you may be outbid just at the end. It's a bit like being outbid on eBay. So I haven't got anything on that yet, but if I did, the principle would be the same. You go and put a bid on that and hopefully catch that at the end. I'm going to leave this for the moment. I want to move on to some other things to show you. Maximize our early gold. I'll just go and pick up those 2 things that I bought, and then go straight up sell those. So I'm now at 2 gold, 78 and 66 copper. So what if there was anything on the auction house right now that we can actually buy for a vendor sell price? So now currently the TSM vendor search I don't think works quite correctly yet. Vendor search and disenchant search I don't think are quite working correctly yet. I'll do a TSM scan because I haven't done one since I logged in. I'll let that run through. Okay, that's all done and scanned in. So I'm going to do a vendor search now, just to see if anything turns up. It's saying scanning page 1 of 3, so it has found some things. I take it back about things working, maybe it's been updated. So now these are currently on the market, and Scroll of Stamina is got a buyout of 35 copper, vendors for actually 37 copper. And these Tiger's Eyes, I'm just going to buy another one of those. The Shadow Gems there are vendoring for 250 and it's 2 silver 45. So let's buy that up. Hasn't had any luck in finding that one. So let me just see if it can get another one. It could be that these have just been sold in that time. Let's do a rescan, see if we can catch that last one. It does seem to be stuck on that, so maybe if I do a reload, just type in /reload there and just have a quick double check of that again. So go through vendor search, and now it says done scanning, so it hasn't found anything else. So it's not a massive amount, but it will allow you to get a little bit of extra income right at the beginning stages if you're lucky, and it all depends on what your situation is and how much time you've got and whether you're doing something else at the same time and whether you're able to quickly go over and snipe things. So it's not for everyone, and I would certainly again recommend by far a better use of your time if you've got dedicated time, but you may not have time to focus on actually playing, and you may want to just have this on the side whilst you're doing something else. So in those situations, sniping and vendor buyout is very useful. So other ways you could maximize your gold. One of the other things is worth mentioning at this stage is, whilst you're leveling, is to be very frugal with what you choose to spend your money on. So don't necessarily go and get every single skill as you get it, or even buy anything from the auction house as you're leveling up, say, equipment that you might need. So try and think as frugally as possible, thinking of that end target of 100 gold by level 40. Obviously reputation makes a difference by then as well, so if you get the 10% discount from being honoured, then you'll get that for much cheaper. So what other things have I done initially? One of the main things I did was getting skinning as one of my first gathering professions. That's been really helpful as I've been running around all the starter areas, and a lot of people kill the beasts without skinning them because they don't have the skill, and that way I can pick up everything, skin it and just vendor all the light leather and the scraps and get myself a few extra copper that way. And that's as I'm running around the game anyway. Other people also pick up, say, mining. You can also do herbalism as well, one of the two. You can't track mining and herbalism at the same time, so usually choose between one or the other. But either of those would be a good one. I think mining's probably a better one for vendoring straight off. Obviously you have to be level 5 or above to get started in any of the professions, but once you've left the newbie area, you'll usually be about level 5 anyway. So other things that might sell, a lot of hunters will need meat for their pets, so have a look, see if you can sell any of these. Now, you don't necessarily need to make a group for all these things early on. The best thing I'd suggest is, if you've got something you're interested in selling, like say this stringy wolf meat, have a look here. So my current min normal max prices are 84 copper, but the easiest way is to really just go into TSM and shift right click on the item, and it will automatically do a shopping scan of that. And here we've got the stringy wolf meat, so always bear in mind my vendor sell price, which is 4 copper here. So I'm going to want to put this in, well, 39 copper would certainly be a lot better than 4 copper. So I'm going to come in straight in here as the cheapest and click on post. I'm going to go for checking the deposit price here. So it actually has a deposit of nothing for this. It's rounded down because I'm only doing a single one. Quite often singles do have a reduced deposit price, so I might as well put this on for the maximum. This isn't 48 hour, it's 24 hours, then that's 2, and then that's 8. So, and I don't have 2 to put on, so if I click on max, it'll change it to the amount I do have, which is 1. So I'm just going to put the 1 on and post that up and see if that sells. So you can do this with all bits and pieces, just try out a few different things. At this stage we're really just trying to learn the market, try and think about things that we could do, and think about things that we can do to make more gold. Now, the thing that I really like about World of Warcraft is the profession system. And if you do have professions, you can start looking at things to turn into other things that you can then vendor. So an example of this is the linen bag. If I go over to here, and so the linen bag vendor sells for 2 silver. And if I have a bolt of linen cloth, now that's 2 linen cloth for 1 bolt of linen cloth. So if I can get linen cloth for less than 28 copper, because I'll need 6 linen cloth, and the coarse thread cost me 30 copper for 3, so it's 10 copper each. So if I just show you here, so say it was 28 copper times 6 linen cloth that we'd need, which is 168, which is 1 silver 68, plus the 30, which is the coarse thread, sorry, that's 198. If I can get linen cloth for 28 copper or less, then my profit would be 2 copper or more. So what I can do now is, rather than looking at linen cloth as a vendor sell, because the vendor sell price of linen cloth is 13 copper, my new threshold for this is actually 28 copper. So an easy way to do this is, I've got some searches here already, linen cloth exact, and I've clicked on this star to make it a favourite. So I can simply click on that and have a look for any linen cloth that is less than 28 copper. Now I can actually set up a shopping operation for this if I wanted to. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But as you can see here, we've got some for 13 copper. So that's definitely a bargain. 17 pages here, so I'm going to scan through all of those. There we go, so there's quite a lot here. And so 28 copper is my threshold here, so I don't want to buy anything more than that. So I can start here with the cheapest. I'm going to start buying out some of these. Obviously some of these have been bought already, so someone else is doing something similar here. I'll keep on buying as many as I can for the moment. Try and get these 2 at 15. There we go. I'm going to take the 3 at 25 if I can. Might as well do the 26 ones as well. And then it starts to get less and less worth my while as we get up to 28. So I'm not going to buy the 28 there, I'm going to leave it at that. So with all that linen cloth, we would then make bolts of linen. So using my tailoring, which is currently at skill 104, linen cloth is quite an early one to do. So we would then make our bolts of linen cloth here, and then we'll go to the tailoring supplier and get ourselves some coarse thread, make a whole load of linen bags. Now we could put some of these on the actual auction house itself. It does have a min buyout currently of 2 silver 17, so it's not much above vendor sell price at the moment. So in terms of immediacy, it might be better just to vendor these, because that way we don't have to take into account any auction house costs. But the other way we can do this is to go into TSM, and we can make up a group to do a shopping scan for this. So we have something here, would go for linen cloth here, and we're going to add that to the group. I'm going to call this group linen cloth to bags. So this is kind of like a specific search for that. And then in our group operations, we're going to look at the shopping operation here. I'm going to override it, create a new one. And then what I'm going to look for here, I'm not going to show auctions above max price, but I'm going to look at here, and the maximum auction price is going to be 28 copper. Press enter to make that happen. I'm going to call this operation linen 28 copper. So now what we would do is go into TSM here, enter our shopping search, we'll just click on linen cloth to bags, run a shopping scan, and then there we go, we've got some more that's come up here, another 10. So we'll select that, click buy out, I'll take those, and I could even buy out these as well. And I could really do with having the macro working for this. Let me just see if that is actually working now. It wasn't working before. I'll go to macros, up, down, control key, update existing macro. There we go, macro created and scroll wheel bound. So I'll go to our main menu, macros, and now we have our TSM scan macro that we made, and now we also have the TSM macro, which is the cancel auction, destroy, shopping, auctioning and crafting. So that's going to be really useful. So now we can use our holding control down and use the mouse wheel up or down to buy things, as we do normally in TSM retail. Now there are loads of different things you can do with different professions. At this early stage, it's more of a question of starting a profession, having a look at what you can make, have a look at what it costs to make that thing, and then looking at the auction house to see what the price is of the materials. And then it's very simple, a bit of mathematics, just to work out what your minimum cost is for those items. And then if you find something that is pretty good, then, like in this case linen bags, then you can go and search for those items, and if you can get them at a decent price, you can craft them into that item, and in this case vendor them. Some things you'll be able to auction off, other things are better off vendored. So that's a lot of linen cloth there, and this is going to take me quite a while to make this into linen bags, so I'm not going to do that at this stage, but that's the principle in mind. So now I do have a Miro board where I've gone through and looked at the various forums and Reddit and Discord and places like this, and looked for various things like this linen bag vendor sell, and I put it all onto this mind map. This is a mind mapping app that I use, Miro.com. It's free to set up an account. I'd highly recommend it. And so I've got a few different ideas here. Now what I'll do is I'll post a link to this image, and I'll export this out so you can have a look at all the different things that we've got here. So this is kind of like a brain dump of ideas that you can do and ones to look into. So we'll be starting off here with classic gold making. So number 1, play the game and level. Number 2, don't spend all your money, pick only essential skills, and early on gather skinning and mining and vendor auction house the results. So we're aiming for our first target here of 100 gold with the mount at 40. So the main thing is to play the game and level, do the quests, get all the things there, and you'll be able to make up more and more gold the higher and higher level you go. Also another suggestion is to make a bank alt. Now you could go level 5 so you can pick up some professions, like enchanting is a good one, because then you can disenchant things straight up there and then maybe turn them into something like you can make essences to make into wands, and they're wands you can sell, but watch out for mailing costs if you're sending to your bank alt, especially at the early days. So think of things for early leveling and your starting gold. Vendor search, sniper search using auctioneer or TSM like I showed you there earlier. Trying to sell things like meat for the hunters is another good one. Trying to think of things that will be in high demand. skinning and mining early on, as I mentioned. Vendor resells, so some things you can pick up and resell on, like copper rods you can buy off the enchanting supplier. It costs 1 silver and you might be able to sell that for maybe 6 to 9 silver. The same with things like skinning knives, fishing rods, mining picks. Things that people won't look to actually get and will just think they need to get them from the auction house. At this stage, I'm not recommending making groups early on. Use your shopping scan, post things on individually. Although you can make groups, it's not too complicated. But in terms of complicated operations, I'd wait a little bit longer for TSM to have some more historical data, and then we'll be able to actually use the market data a bit more reliably. So we went through the sniper operation on the default vendor cell, and there's some other things you can do here. Shopping searches. If you do a shopping search for /I0, or search for all items, because that's item level 0, and then you can look into your shopping price cell and vendor cell -1 copper, which is pretty much like doing a vendor search really, but you can narrow this down to specific things like a range between item level 0 to 60, of type armor, of type common and above. So it's quite powerful using things like this. Then I've got a few different ideas. Farming I haven't really looked into. Professions wise, there's fishing. There's a few different things here for enchanting and tailoring. I've got a few notes on whether it's PvP or PvE server that you're on. So craft cheap robes to disenchant, white, brown linen robes. Haven't fully looked into that one yet. Making lesser and greater wands to sell on the auction house or vendor. So again, look into things like the linen bag price for that. Greater magic essence. If you buy for 14 silver, 97 copper or less, you can make a greater magic wand and vendor that for even more and skill up that way. And by and large from that, lesser magic essence, which you can turn into greater magic essence, 4 silver 99 is your minimum price there. So these are all different ideas that I've scooped up from the various boards and put together in a format here of ideas to explore. So there's a few ideas for other professions: alchemy, engineering, smelting, leatherworking, skinning. All depends on what professions you have really. First aid as well. So what I'll do is I'll output this as an image and put a link to that in the description below. But I do highly recommend this Miro site for making brain maps like this and just exploring ideas and do a few little calculations. So hopefully that will give you a few ideas as to ways you can make some gold early on in the game. I'll continue this as I level up and get myself towards that level 40. So until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.